Welcome to the Addison podcast, where we talk about what it actually takes to hit your first six or multi-six figures in business. I'm Addison, certified clinical hypnotherapist and online business coach for entrepreneurs. And 3 years ago, I decided that nursing wasn't for me, dropped out of nursing school, and dove into the online space. From free hypnosis audios to unfiltered conversations and business advice, this is the space for you to take radical responsibility towards creating your dream business. Let's dive in. So I'm going to take you through some of the standards and boundaries that I had to start to implement and how I worked backwards from that. But I also just want to mention that this starts with a very, very strong and diversified offer suite. The difference between someone making $5,000 months and someone that's making $20,000 to $100,000 months is their offer suite. It's the ways in which people can come into their space. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you need, a freebie all the way up to high ticket coaching. This can look a lot of different ways, but it is diversifying the way that people can come into your space, right? So the difference between me making the first $8,000 a month in my coaching business and now is that at that point I had one group program. And at this point I have two group programs, a mastermind, bundles of hypnotherapy audios people can buy, a membership, one-on-one coaching, right? So I fully diversified my offer suite so that there are different touch points for people to join in my space and move up through my offers to go from, lower level to higher level. So a great example of this is I had someone that found me on TikTok who is now in my group program, Embodying the Leader Within. And he found me on TikTok because of hypnotherapy, and then he jumped into the membership with me. And the membership has monthly strategy calls where people can ask me questions, as well as monthly live hypnosis, and then a portal full of trainings and stuff like that they can watch and implement and get insight from. And so this is only 2 hours of my time in the entire month that I spend in this membership, right? But the earning potential from this membership is uncapped. I could have 100 people in there and be making $5,000 of recurring revenue from that offer alone, right? So it was really important to me that I started adding some different things like this into my offer suite. And with this person specifically, they moved into the membership. And then at one point they invested in one-on-one hypnotherapy with me. So that's higher ticket. And then now they're in this group program, right? So there's ways for people to move through depending on what level of access they want to me, what price point they want to spend, where they feel like they need the most support, right? And this is built very strategically. So I have made, from this one client, not just $44 a month from the membership, but now, thousands from other offers that have, they've moved through. And so a lot of people get stuck in the space, especially as coaches, of, well, I have this one-on-one coaching offer, or I have this, group program, and that's all I have, when in reality, we should be introducing other offers, talking about other things, launching other things, because when you think about this strategically, there are ways for people to, based on different buyer types, start in different places. I have had people that needed to invest in a bundle of hypnotherapy audios before they felt comfortable spending $3,000 on one-on-one hypnotherapy. I've also had people that jump straight into that and then move into my membership, right? But this is built very strategically. And so when it comes to standards, the standards and the boundaries don't really matter if our product suite is not diversified. And I think another thing to really hit home with this as well too is that I'm not really on this like month to month or 3-month live launching schedule. I now have most of my high ticket offers evergreen, which allows me to really attract the people into my space that are ready to go right now, that don't need a live launch or like a closed cart to create the urgency for them to invest. I'm attracting more empowered clients because of that, because I've thought strategically about this funnel and about the way that my offer suite is diversified, but this also grew over time so that my earning potential could be uncapped in a lot of different ways, right? And when I say uncapped, I truly mean uncapped because of the bundles that I've created and the membership, which can host, hundreds of people, and the bundles, which like literally anyone in the world could buy, right? Like it's truly uncapped. And I can just create more of those, right? So I want you to think about that before we like even think about standards and boundaries and stuff like that. So when it comes to standards and boundaries, I think about these being like the bare minimum for you to operate in your business. So this can be from anywhere from how do we handle a client's missed payment to how do I uphold the boundary of the fact that I am not messaging on Fridays. Or for a service provider, this could be, anywhere from how do I handle it when a client pays a payment late to, I want to have a CEO day on Wednesdays. What do I do when a client's blowing me up on a Wednesday and this is my CEO day and I'm in the middle of like doing my laundry or something like that? I say that because I have one client in particular who always takes Wednesday CEO days, and that's when she does like her laundry and her grocery shopping and like really takes care of herself, and she fully needs that day, right? Like, what is she going to do if she's being blown up by a client on a Wednesday and it's not really even a fire to put out, right? So anywhere from, again, like small little things in your business like missed payments to how we handle that to how we handle other boundaries. So the first thing that I always, and I'm looking at this sheet that I have where I take my clients through this like setting the standards in their business operation kind of framework. And the first thing that I always think about is the system for onboarding, the system for offboarding, the system for retaining clients, the system for client experience, and then going deeper than that, what we do when we have a missed payment. So for a service provider, again, this should be a non-negotiable. If you have a missed payment, if you have a late payment, you're not doing work. For a coach, if you have a missed payment or a late payment, there might be warnings and then they're taken out of your portal. Like there's consequences for that, right? We're not just sitting around for weeks and months on end waiting for payments to come in. We're taking care of them. The other thing that could be a standard for you is how you handle refunds. Do you offer refunds? What are the stipulations for offering refunds? Do you have a clause for that in your contract? What does that look like, right? So for me, with my bundles, let's say, and my membership and stuff like that, I have a terms and conditions on my ThriveCart sales pages that basically says I don't offer refunds for those, because once you get access to those things, you can download them, you could have them on your computer and then be like, oh, I want a refund, so we don't offer refunds on those things. But this is something to also think about, because you could run into situations where someone asks for a refund. And this is something that I've thought about without ever even being asked for a refund. I've never had someone ask me for a refund on anything. And it's something that we set a standard for in my business early on to protect myself with this sustainable growth and with having spaciousness in my schedule. And I know you're thinking like, okay, how does this have anything to do with spaciousness in your schedule? And it's because I'm thinking about my business operating as a whole, and I'm thinking about how my business is structured as a whole versus just like, how can I make more money this month? I'm thinking like, long term, how do I handle these tough situations, and how do I make sure that all of my bases are covered in the sense of, this structure of my business overall. So other things that we can think about are like Voxer and Slack boundaries. So I'm typically only in Slack Monday through Thursday, sometimes Fridays. I only take calls Tuesday through Thursday. Like I said, those were things that I implemented. So I had to make sure that my product suite fit well into that schedule of, if I'm offering all my mastermind clients one-on-one calls, I'm offering, my TVA clients some one-on-one calls, I'm offering this embodying the leader within call, the membership calls, et cetera, et cetera. Do I have space in my schedule to allow me to only work Tuesday through Thursday? And if not, do I need to make tweaks in my product suite to allow for this level of income that I want to create, while also giving myself the spaciousness that I want in my schedule? Other things that I think are important to think about that I already mentioned is like social media for yourself. Are you scrolling a lot? Do we need to change those habits? Emails, do we need to change those habits? Like, do you have notifications on your phone 24/7, right? Because this is another way that you can work literally 24/7. Again, what are your standards for your schedule with social media, with posting, with how you serve your clients, with how you structure your offers, with how often you're working and when you're on calls and what that looks like, and whether you have a CEO day. And these are all things that I really want you to think about when it comes to setting the standard. So we have the product suite side of things, which obviously we need to make sure that our business supports the level of freedom that we want. But then we also have the standard side of things. It's like, are we holding ourselves to the higher standard of upholding those boundaries? Because, I have clients that come to me and they're like, I've been trying to raise my rates with my clients for the past 2 years. Like, they're on 2021 rates, and I, just am fearful of like raising these rates. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty normal. Like, most people are afraid of raising the rates, right? But you have to hold yourself to the standard of saying, like, this is my new normal in business. I'm raising these rates. This is, what it is in my business. These are my packages. This is what I'm doing. And if no one else is okay with that, then you have to hold yourself to the standard of holding that standard, right? hold yourself to the standard of holding that standard. You guys get what I'm trying to say. But you have to, be steadfast in those boundaries. I always say that boundaries are an inside job first. So a couple different boundaries that I think service providers can hold are, things like time periods that you are answering messages, the amount of hours that it takes you, like your response time with messages. So are you responding immediately? Do you respond within the first 24 hours? What's your CEO day? What days do you want to take calls? Maybe you just do calls one day a week or one time a month so that you have that spaciousness in your schedule. What are the policies for vacation time? What are the policies for, other time that you just want to take off if you're sick, et cetera, et cetera. And like, how do you hold those boundaries? How do you make sure that you have the belief in yourself of like, no one's going to be mad at me if I hold these boundaries. And this is what allows me to have the spaciousness in my schedule. For a coach, it looks like, more so your schedule, making sure that you're not answering message outside of like the time that you're working. Even if you do, that's okay too. But ultimately your schedule and your product suite that's going to allow for that time. So not constantly just one-on-one coaching, right? So for my offer suite, I already kind of mentioned this, but this looks like a group program. I have 2 group programs actually. I have the Visionary Accelerator, which has typically anywhere from 3 to 8 people inside. I have Embodying the Leader Within, which is my hypnotherapy program, and both of these have either bi-weekly calls or once weekly calls. And Embodying the Leader Within can have anywhere from, 5 to literally 50 people inside. It's a program that does hold a lot more people because it doesn't offer a lot of one-on-one support. I also have my mastermind, which is more high ticket, and that offers, monthly one-on-one calls as well as weekly or 3 times a month calls. And so all of these programs and the membership included as well too allow me again to take on like basically an infinite number of people and hit above or upwards of $50,000 months, which is our goal this year. And so I had to make sure with that goal of, these higher income months, plus the goal of not having to work constantly and planning a wedding and, having time for family and friends and just having spaciousness in my schedule and traveling last year, taking care of my health, etc., like really pouring into this inflammatory disease that I have and figuring it out and being able to take care of myself. Does that product suite and does the offer suite that I have allow for that income and for the space? And so I've mapped both of those things out. I actually haven't and don't take on a lot of one-on-one clients. I haven't had to in order to hit my income goals. I typically take on a few one-on-one hypnotherapy clients, but when it comes to business and one-on-one coaching, that used to be a bulk of my monthly income. And I decided that, I didn't love having the weekly calls. I love pouring into people that way. I love serving clients, but it's not always needed to have those weekly calls. And so I kind of started moving away from that and supporting people in other deeper ways in communities because I really thrive in group coaching. And this diversified offer suite plus having, bundles that people can buy passively, etc., has really allowed me to have both the spaciousness and the income that I'm desiring. I think the third piece to this more time and, more money idea in business, as well as like, again, not ease, we're still working hard, but more spaciousness to allow us to live our lives, to allow us to travel, to allow us to take care of our health, to allow us to still work out, eat healthy, all the things, is healing subconscious beliefs. So there are like 4 main beliefs that I had prior to starting my business that really created this level of constant working and stress and overwhelm in my business. So I'm going to name them and then we'll talk about them a little bit. But number 1, you have to work more to make more money. We already talked about this one a little bit. This can come from childhood specifically. You can't be successful unless you work constantly. That can also come from childhood. I mean, even if you think about how we grow up, we're literally conditioned to be little worker bees from elementary school on. Like you're in school for 8 hours, you work hard, you get the good grade, and then you're good and you get that satisfaction, right? And then it's like, okay, then you move into working, you work the 8 hours, you do a good job, you get paid, you did good, you get that satisfaction. That's not how business works, right? We have so much more opportunity. So I had to shift that as well too. The third one is a rite of passage as a business owner is overwhelm and burnout. So I remember very specifically, I posted a TikTok about this, not that, maybe it was a couple months ago. And I talked about how, burnout does not have to be a thing in business. Overwhelm doesn't have to be a thing in business. And someone commented and said, every entrepreneur that I know is burnt out and overwhelmed. So I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, exactly. You hit my point, like exactly. Like you hit that right on the head there. Every entrepreneur you know is burnt out and overwhelmed, but they don't have to be. The reason that they are is because they've created that in their reality, right? So again, that's another thing that I had to shift is like, I don't have to be burnt out and overwhelmed in my business. I can simplify things. I can simplify my product suite. I can, expand my capacity to hold more and do less. I can, find ways that I can make more money without necessarily having to do more. Yes, I'm still putting in the work, serving my clients, doing and creating the best offers for them. But there's a way to do that without being on my phone literally for those 10 hours per day, right? And then the fourth one is business is hard. So I think that this one is a little bit interesting because a lot of times, like we hear the phrase, ease in business or ease and flow or rich and regulated or whatever. We hear these like stupid phrases and we think like, oh, if I work with that person, then she's going to help me make my business so easy. And the thing is like business is not easy in the sense of you're going to have to put in the work. It can be easy. You can simplify your offer suite. You can simplify your marketing. You can simplify the way that you market and the way that you work in your business to allow more ease, but you have to put in the work. And when we think ease, we think, oh, I just get to, work for an hour a day, not have to do anything, and I'm going to make 6 figures, right? That's not the case. When I think of ease in business, I think like not constantly overwhelmed, not constantly stressed. I think of, feeling motivated to do the work in business while also having time in our lives to just live and to be and to travel or whatever, right? And so I kind of had to shift away from like business is hard and there's always problems. I think there's this idea in the online space that there's always problems in business. Like if you're not converting, 16 clients within the first 5 seconds of posting this reel, like you have an issue with your marketing, your messaging, your sales, your whatever. And it's like, can we not just be in business and enjoy the journey? And to me, that is ease. And so I really had to shift away from this idea that it had to be hard, that I had to be struggling, that I had to be overwhelmed, that I had to be stressed out, that I had to be worried about money, and shift all of that into like, I'm good. I have the structure, I have the strategy, I've built the foundations, I've invested in the mentor to create those foundations. I've, had someone identify my gaps. I've like done all of the things that I need to do. And now I just get to like have fun doing it, have fun creating the offers, have fun, marketing, have fun telling my story, have fun being on social media. Like to me, TikTok and Instagram, they're fun. Like it's fun to connect with people that way, right? And that's where I've like shifted that into ease. So yes, I'm still posting every day. Ease does not mean I get to post once a week and have multiple 6-figure months, or whatever. Maybe that's a belief that you have. I haven't hit multiple 6-figure months, but, we're getting there. And again, it's more so like creating fun and flow and effortlessness into business and just making it something that you are motivated by and lit up by. So with all of this being said, I know that you're desiring like travel, higher income months, maybe $10,000+ months, $20,000 months consistently, no more procrastination. You're inviting in like or desiring more ease in your days in the sense of like you're still putting in the work, but you're not working on your laptop for 12 hours a day. Maybe more spaciousness to also take care of your health or to create better habits in the sense of health and wellness and fitness and, even that travel. And you want to also release the anxiety. But right now in business, it might feel a little bit tight or constricted or overwhelming. And you also might have times where you wonder if you can truly handle it all. I've been there as well too. And I know, like I'm saying all of this because I know that time period where I mentioned that I was super overwhelmed and I was super, constantly on my business. And I didn't feel like I could just take a deep breath. I felt like I was constricted and tight. And if I put my laptop down, everything was going to fall apart. And if I traveled, everything was going to fall apart. It just wasn't a good feeling, right? And so the first step to this consistent sales that I'm talking about and like this growth while also having this spaciousness you came here for is the foundation is honestly the limiting beliefs. It's the subconscious beliefs. It's realizing that you're creating your reality currently. And then it's building the foundation from there of the product suite, of the boundaries and standards, of the, creation of the business that you actually desire. Because ultimately you don't want the $10,000 to $20,000 months. You want the feelings of freedom, regulation, spaciousness that you think that the money will bring. And the money also brings the fun and the spaciousness and the freedom and the travel, right? And so the feelings of, freedom, the feelings of spaciousness, all of those things will never come. And we're always going to be chasing like the next thing or the more money or whatever, or another goal. When in reality, we just need to heal the subconscious so that we learn to love the journey in business. And we realize that like we have the power to create whatever we want in business. We have the power to really like create whatever we want in business. And so overall, just to hit home, this freedom that I'm speaking of in business, this spaciousness starts in the mind. It starts by mastering the mind. It starts by understanding the subconscious beliefs and allowing the foundation to grow from that, because our actions and our behaviors are dictated by our subconscious beliefs. And so we start there and then we grow from there and diversify the product suite, as well as really get strong in holding our standards and our boundaries.